So I just had the thought, and it's a spontaneous one, to take a few minutes, which may not be a good idea to try to do this under a time constraint, but my kids are gone, they'll be home soon, and I felt impressed to create the will to process some of my emotions that came up and were provoked with my supervision meeting yesterday. So I set it like this: spiritual quadrant. It says spiritual. For me, represents connection with the divine and connection with the divine in others. So I have a picture of somebody actually rock climbing. It goes like this, being completely present, and somebody with loving connections with children and others. And then over here, two emotions that have the emotional quadrant, which has a Kleenex, box of Kleenex, and people experiencing emotional joy and bliss. And then the physical, I have my running shoe and some lip gloss. And then the mental, these are a notepad that I keep around to jot down notes and things that come to mind, and a highlighter in my daughter's math homework. That represents mental for me. And then in the middle, I have my favorite little Buddha guy that is with me in the morning, just on my kitchen, or not on my bathroom counter, and just reminds me of peace and perspective and our eternal nature as divine beings. So the object that I'm going to bring into the wheel is, I did the math, and it's $90,000 is about what it will cost me to get to my independent licensure. And this is after the cost of education. This doesn't include the cost of supervision or trainings or other expenses. This is just the 60% of every paycheck that's deducted as an associate. And so I'm going to put this starting off in the mental. And these are the thoughts that come up for me about that. So I'm standing in the mental quadrant, and to me it seems very unfair, and I question who came up with this model for, or this idea that you should only keep 40% of your income for 1,500 or more clinical hours. And was that just set up so agencies could be staffed? Because of course, if you're in an agency setting, you're not under that split, you're just under salary. So this actually applies to just the private practice contractual agreement. So that actually kind of moves me into the emotional, where it pisses me off. I think it's really unfair, and it makes me angry. And behind that, the emotion that's triggered is a feeling of exploitation. Like, I feel like this is very exploitive, and it bothers me to subject myself to that. And it's provoking in me like emotions about being a woman in the Mormon culture, about just feeling like it's not fair, that and I feel like it's placating a little bit to say, oh, you know, whoever created this, like we wouldn't know that 40% is, you know, I guess I'm getting back into my emotional, or into my mental, but to stay with my emotional, it just feels exploitive, and I don't like that feeling. And so I'm going to move that into physical, because I'm actually feeling some bodily sensations right now. I'm feeling in my stomach, just kind of like this knotted feeling, and tightness in my chest when I think about this. And the interesting thing is that when I'm in this kind of framework of the negative emotion and the critical thoughts and the belly tightness or belly ache and tightness in my chest, I don't feel any spiritual connection. So I'm going to purposefully move it there, because that's where I want to go with this, because I don't like feeling, and I'll go back to my feeling, I don't like feeling
this kind of negative emotion. I want to feel gratitude because this is really a great opportunity for me to be working and to be having my own schedule and working on my own terms and being able to work with couples and private practice. Those are great things about what happy emotions are derived from that. I feel very, very grateful. And that kind of moves me into my spiritual realm. So I'm going to move that over here into spiritual. And I just want to sit with this, with my breath for a minute. And just get a little bit grounded in spirit. So this, for me, is a lesson in acceptance and letting go of resistance. And I feel peace when there's a very big distinction for me spiritually. When I think about acceptance, I don't think condonement. I don't think it's okay. So I guess I'm thinking now. I'm going into mental. I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's fair or right for the financial arrangement to be that it will cost me $90,000 on top of the $40,000 I spent on my education, on top of all the supervision costs, to come out of this and be able to earn $60,000 a year as a private practitioner. I think that system is flawed, and that's my thoughts about that. So I can still have that thought and accept it. So it's making, I love Eckhart Tolle teaches to make friends with the present moment. And so I'm going to move it back over here to spiritual. And I'm going to just breathe what is. So, me resisting what is what's creating the suffering and pain. And so I just want to accept the isness of what is. So this is the situation. And I can feel thankful and gratitude, which is a feeling. So I'll put one foot in feeling, but it's also really my spiritual practice of gratitude, that I'm in a position that I can do this, and I don't have to work in an agency to get to where I want to go, and that this opportunity opened up for me. And working with my supervisor, even though it's been challenging, kind of working through some of the triggering that's happening with us emotionally, I feel like there's something really powerful that can happen between us. She's an amazing person. She's done amazing things. I think we're really alike in a lot of ways, and I think together we can have amazing synergy. And so I feel like there's promise. I have a lot of hope for once we kind of work through how to and develop the trust for one another and kind of process our own triggering, which for me is what I'm doing right now with this $90,000 story I have about my relationship with her. I think it's going to be a really, really great place for me to be, and it already is. Like I said, I can, the three things I wanted that I mindfully, intentionally went after when I graduated was to find a private practice where I could work with couples around sexual concerns and have a very flexible part-time schedule. That didn't exist. At least I had no frame of reference. Nobody I knew had ever been able to do this. And she allows me to work my own schedule, to see my own clients, schedule my own clients, to specialize and practice in the ways I want to. And that is incredible. I've absolutely threaded the needle. And I think that's part of the disconnect with her is that it seems too good to be true in a way. That I really feel like I'm part of a bigger plan, and I guess I'm going back into mental now. So the sense making I'm doing now is that this is where I'm supposed to be. I feel that way, that this is where I'm supposed to be. And so I'm going to go into emotion and feel that for a minute. Okay, so I'm going to just check in with my emotions and feel if this is where I'm supposed to be right now in my career. And if this is this $90,000 or this feeling of exploitation, is this something that I need to do anything about, to try to enact change around, or not? And my feeling right now is that it's not the time for me to enact any change. Like I said before, just because I accept something doesn't mean I condone it or don't wish to create change, but I want that change to be born of a place of acceptance. So I guess that's kind of the process, is that I think once I really come to peace and accept that this is the way it is and adjust to that, then whatever change I feel inspired to do at that time, whether it's to create a different system for the future practitioners coming out and maybe renegotiate our agreement, or maybe once I've come to peace with it, I won't feel a need to change it. I'll just write it out and just recognize that I'm kind of in a unique place with my stage in life doing this. And if I were 22 years old, it would work probably just fine for me to go to work for an agency for 3 years to get through this associate process, and it wouldn't cost me $90,000 to do this. So, so emotionally, yeah, I can just feel peace around this. I can feel acceptance around this. Physically, I'm going to move and check in with my body. So $90,000, it's just one way of looking at it. And when I am where I'm at right now, my body feels relaxed. I don't feel discomfort. In fact, in a way, my body feels rejuvenated because I don't have to work full time. I get to exercise and meditate and take care of my body and take time to prepare healthy foods. I mean, taking care of my physical body, it is a time and energy investment. And if I did have to work in an agency, it would be very difficult. I mean, that might be the thing that really suffers is my exercise, because, there's only so much time in the day, and I have children and a husband and a household. And so I'm really grateful that what this situation affords me, and maybe I could flip this over, that $90,000, flip it over, is it provides me space. It buys me space to take care of myself physically. And that's something I really, really value about working under the arrangement that I'm working in right now. So that's good. So I think I just flipped my story upside down, and now I've got this blank piece of paper to create a new story. This is just happening really organically, so I'll put it in mental to create my new story. My new story is, it is what it is. I accept this arrangement, and I will focus my thoughts and my energy around making the most of it, around really getting the most I can out of my experience working and growing. And, another great thing mentally is that if I were working in an agency full time, I wouldn't have the time or be able to take the time off to go to trainings and read. I have so many things I want to do to improve my skills, my clinical skills, and aid in my learning that I can do because I have such a flexible schedule. I can devote time to reading and studying and really honing my skills and developing myself clinically in the area I want to develop myself in, as opposed to being, most of my 5 days a week full-time energy being devoted to a job that I'm just cranking out mental health services. So that's good. And then spiritually, the truth is, I believe I'm a spiritual being here on the planet. I'm having a human experience. Money really doesn't matter. Money is just a vehicle. And I do have a kind of a whole story about money, and as a woman in the culture I grew up in, women didn't earn money. Women provided in other ways, which is interesting. That brings me back to emotion, the exploitation. That's how I feel women were exploited in the Mormon church, because, we were told growing up that, women are divine and to be respected and daughters of God and, to be honored and all these things. But at the same time, we're very powerless. We're not supposed to be. I mean, in the sense that, we're kind of told we're so wonderful and virtuous, and that the husbands are supposed to provide for us and give us what we need. But there's a real power dynamic. I have a real problem with that power dynamic, because it's like the man is to provide and preside over the woman, and the man has the final authority over the house. And it's not because he's better than, but it's because the woman is so spiritually advanced that she doesn't need to have that kind of priesthood power. She's a mother and she's closer to God, and she doesn't need to have these things. And to me, it's very placating and very condescending to women. And so that is the feeling of exploitation that is triggered, I think, with the way the system is set up for associate licensure, at least the way I'm experiencing the system, because I'm going not through the agency, but through the private practice that's keeping 60% of every dollar that I earn. So, okay, so that was good. So I'm getting back to spiritual. And I really believe that my life is a spiritual journey. I want to experience my life spiritually. I feel best about myself. I feel love in my heart. I feel peace. I feel connection to myself and to God and the universe when I am attuned this way. And, when that dollar bill is flipped, or when that piece of paper is flipped over, it's the story and the energy that goes with that. It prevents me from feeling this way. And this is why I really wanted to process this, because this is where I belong. This is where Isa belongs. It's a spiritual being having a human experience. Money is irrelevant. What's relevant for me is that I am exactly where I feel I am meant to be in a much larger sense, and that I'm following the impulses that I feel from God and from Spirit to do the work I feel empowered to do. And just saying that reminds me of how incredible it is that I'm even in this position right now. It has never been done, like I say before. Even my supervisor's like, I can't believe this. You're just out of school and you've got this full-blown practice and you've got this amazing office, and you're just doing such great work. And I just feel like, I'm working hard for that, but really it's happening because I'm in alignment with something greater than myself. And so I don't want to lose that feeling of spiritual connection, and that's the best way I can say it, of spiritual connection to what I'm doing. And I know that when I flip that paper over and I run the story about how unfair and exploited I feel with this financial agreement, that I lose that connection. So I've exercised my power in this will to turn it over and to just be at peace and to be right here with this. And so now that I've recorded this, I can play it back and just see what insights I might gain from watching this back. And Gina, I might share it with you. And I love you, and my kids are home, so I'll go now. Bye.